This one works? Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight to join us for youth group on on Bryan's first last night of youth group. As many of you already know, tonight we're here to take some time to celebrate Bryan and the ministry that he has had here at Montavilla over the last 22 plus years. And this is still youth group tonight, and so there are going to be youth group things taking place, but we want to make sure that we also take time tonight to encourage Bryan and celebrate Bryan, share memories, share something special. So there will be a time for that after we engage in some youth group related activities that will be taking place shortly. But I wanted to remind all of you that in case you did not know, in the back there's a table over there with a notebook that we would encourage everybody to at least sign your name as just kind of a memento that we can give to Bryan at the end of the night. But all of you know Bryan loves to doodle and draw and things like that. So there's color pencils and markers and other things back there. If you would like to do more than just write your name, we encourage you draw a picture, write a note of encouragement, whatever it may be, but something that Bryan can cherish. And you can honestly do that at any point tonight. If you see that nobody's back there and you'd like to just head back there and do that, tonight's going to have enough low-key space in it that you would be able to do that. But first, we have our unofficial games master who has just arrived. And Bryan had a special game that he wanted to do on his unofficial last night. So I'm actually going to pass things off to Bryan, and Bryan's going to explain our activity for tonight while I get the table and trash can set up.
Yes, plastic would be a good idea. I didn't know that we would be playing this game in front of so many people. This is a game that I played fairly regularly over the years, and then there were some weird gaps like COVID and other things. It's called Gag Bag. How many in the audience have actually played Gag Bag? Yep. There you go. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. Typically, I would split the youth group into two teams. And they would allocate a certain amount of points. And gag bags evolved over the years. It used to just be me holding a black bag that kids stuck their hand into and tried to pull out an item that was good or bad or whatever. They just had to eat it, and that was it, done. It evolved over the years. We split them into two teams. Everyone got a certain amount of points. And then the one team could strategize against the other team and pick the victim and pick the item. And then they would gamble how many points that they were betting that the other person on the other team couldn't eat the thing that was put in front of them. And you go back and forth, and then ultimately, typically, what would happen is, because junior high rules, thanks to Thad Anderson, is that if one team is well behind, you kind of give them a chance to maybe catch up a little bit. And so we would usually let them pick a champion for each team to go against each other head-to-head. And a lot of times it was staff, and majority of the time it was me. So I was, and usually what happens is either it's a culmination of all the stuff that was on the table thrown together in a blender, or a few years we did like a McDonald's or a Burger King meal where the whole thing was blended. Pop, fries, hamburger, Frosty, if it was Wendy's, whatever. All of it would go into the blender and all of it would be, and then you'd have to drink it as quickly as you could. So, like I said, I was usually the recipient of those. This year, however, or this last time as it were for me, we don't have a ton of time for that, from what I understood. I didn't know this was happening. So we got about a 30-minute window that we're going to do this. So tonight, we're going to, what's that? What'd you say, Kate? Dude, can we pick champions and I'll pick Dave? So I don't know how many of you know, but when I got hired to do the junior high thing, Dave was hired to do the high school thing at the same exact time. So him and I started in the ministry trenches together, so to speak. I unfortunately am more of a masochist for pain than he is, and I stayed in junior high for much longer than he did with high school. He was smart and got out sooner. I apparently, oh, that is perfect. Okay, so what I'm asking for tonight is volunteers to participate in this game. Now that I've explained it and everyone knows what's going on. All right, come on up. Oh wait, Ryan, I saw that hand. Ryan, Gabe, Liam, come on up. Hold on. Hands, come on up. Whoever's got hands and wants to be part of it. Hold on. Shh. So here's what I got though. Shh. So, everyone in the line, pick a partner. Pick one partner. Come up on stage where I can see you, up here. In front of the whiteboard. Come on up. Okay, pick a partner. I'm going to pull an Eric Peterson tonight. Rock, paper, scissors. Best 2 out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors. Go. Okay? Those who did not win, go sit down, please. If you did not win, go sit down. Okay, find a new partner from those who won. Right behind you. Get going. All right. Who's left? All right, so there's 3. All right, Eric, I've got down to 3. How do I get down to 2? Eric's thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Closest one to the number without going over. No, let me think about that. Hold on. That doesn't eliminate correctly. Eric, help me out. Or Thad, help me out. What's the best way to get down to 2? What's that? Closest number? All right. Okay, that sounds good. Eric, you got your number? Brody. Okay. Lolo. Tim. Oh, yeah, I know. I was going to say Tim for a second. Then I was like, no, wrong. Okay, who's the 2 that are still in? Dude, Brody gets like an extra like pat on the back or something for that one. Dang, dude. Okay, so you 2 come on over here.
Oh, jeez.
So the way this is going to work tonight, which is different from most other nights, is these 2 are going to be eating the same exact things, and the first one done wins. And they get a Jamba Juice gift card for $25. Okay?
Sardines aren't bad, okay? I've eaten sardines. I've eaten a frog.
Okay. All right, so what we have here, in order of execution, as it were, because there was a couple things so the only sadness that I'm having right now is Gag Bag has always contained, trivia item question, Gag Bag has always contained one specific item every single time, no matter what. Does anyone know what that is? Tim? Pickled pig's feet. Every single time it has always had that. I've always managed to find it, and for some reason we weren't able to find it tonight. But we always have pickled pig's feet, and every time, I've only had one student, I think, in all the years go for it. What's that? No, I don't think it was Kelly. I think Ashley Stett. Ashley had the iron stomach like nobody else. She would eat literally anything and not even flinch. It was weird. Yeah. Ashley's amazing when it came to food. She could eat anything. All right, so the other thing is we usually did Kool-Aid packets, but we couldn't find Kool-Aid packets tonight. So Jell-O packet instead. Okay?
It's not gonna be bad. Shrimp.
Then there's going to be a wet cat food. Yep. Yep. Then sardines. Yeah. Yep. And then the last one that I think is replacing essentially the pickled pig's feet, which it's bad, but it's not as bad as pickled pig's feet. I'm really disappointed, but it's okay. Smoked oysters in sunflower oil. I need my glasses. My eyes are getting bad. So. Oh, you can't. You can't eat shellfish? All right, you get to pick a victim to replace you. Liam, come on up, buddy. By the way, really quick, does anyone know if we have some like plasticware like readily handy that we could grab really fast? Okay, like just like a spoon and a fork or something like that. Okay, so, but we can start getting moving on this. This will be your cup. This will be your cup. Starting to come out already. I'm curious if this would actually make Jello in your belly. Okay. So what do you think, Bobby? Quick. Also, I forgot the clam juice. So what I just poured in to the Jello is clam juice. Please tell me we're not recording this, by the way. Oh, no. Okay. So this one's going to take a little bit more prep tonight just because there's going to be a sequence of events here. It's the first person done. So instead of having the option, oh, this is very juicy. This is the Sheba Cuts Deluxe Edition of roasted, man, I need my glasses. Roasted garlic chicken. I've been doing this for too long. This is a delicacy to a lot of cats, so that's great. I'm going to go outside in. Very fishy, very fishy.
And they have like, it's only two of them, but they're these big
And oh, that smells even worse. We'll work on that later. By the way, we're going to want to throw away this table afterwards. It's in sequence. You have to do it in the sequence. All right.
I feel like you're you being a frog?
All right, gentlemen, here we go. You're going to eat from the outside inwards. So you're starting with the lemon juice, or the lemon juice. No, the clam juice and the Jello, cat food, sardines, and oysters. Shh. First one through it all, and yes, you do have to eat all of it. Okay? Gentlemen, to your station. Pick your utensil. In 3, 2. This will be your utensil throughout this whole exercise. 1, go. Yes, first to finish. Oh my word. Lolo, you're a beast. Did you just throw your spoon away? Come on, Liam, you got it. Come on, dude, get into it, dig into it. Over in the garbage can if you're gonna toss. I know. Come on, Liam, you can catch him right here. You can catch him right here. He's slowing down. Come on, Liam, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. You got a couple more? Hold on. Liam, you got this. Come on, buddy. Catch up. Liam's slowing. Lolo's going for it, but he's also got to swallow where there's no food in his mouth. So that's also got to be there. Come on, Liam, you can catch him. Oh, let's see. Tongue up. All right.
Can I go to the bathroom and wash my hands?
All right. Now, imagine that times about 20 kids. No, you may not. Not tonight. All right. Did I do my good deed for the night? Did I do my thing? I gotta go wash my hands now. And I didn't even dig in like Lolo did.
I bet you guys were not expecting that. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, hey, so we are going to go ahead and transition into a time of worship and praise. That was still part of the night's worship. Somehow. We'll figure it out later. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and enter a time of praise. So we'll have the worship band go ahead and come up, and they can get ready to lead us. We're going to do a couple of throwback youth group songs. So some of you will likely know these without needing words, but just in case you do, we'll have them up there. I'll move the whiteboard out of the way. And don't forget, just throughout the night, to go ahead and make your way to the table back there. If you haven't signed the guest book or left a note or anything like that, you can go ahead and do that. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and hand things off to our worship team.
Okay, so Eric asked Bryan what his favorite songs were, and I was thinking, it's probably maybe some newer ones in there. They were all 90s songs, which I have no problem with. Let's stand. This first song is called "Trading My Sorrows." I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Singing, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. I am pressed but not crushed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. Blessed beyond the curse, for his promise will endure, that his joy is gonna be my strength. Though the sorrow may last for the night, his joy comes with the morning. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Singing, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. I am pressed but not crushed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. I am blessed beyond the curse, for his promise will endure, that his joy is gonna be my strength. Though the sorrow may last for the night, his joy comes with the morning. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. This next one is Better Is One Day. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord Almighty. Oh, my soul longs and even faints for you. For here my heart is satisfied within your presence. I sing beneath the shadow of your wing. Better is one day in your courts. Better is one day in your house. Better is one day in your court than thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your court. Better is one day in your house. Better is one day in your court, thousands elsewhere. one thing I ask, and I would seek to see your beauty, to find you in the place your glory dwells. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. My heart and flesh cry out for you, the living God. Your spirit's water to my soul. I've tasted and I've seen. Come once again to me. I will draw near to you. I will draw near to you. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day, better is one day, better is one day, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day, better is one day, better is one day, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere, thousands elsewhere. Dear Lord, thank you for this evening. Thank you for Bryan Rogers, for all his years of dedication to youth ministry, and just all the people that have been affected by him. I thank you that they're here as well. I thank you that we just get to bless him. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks, Tim and Landon. Okay. Would Bryan and Jen please come up to the front? I know you were hoping against this, but it's inevitable, man. It's inevitable. Okay, we're going to transition to our lesson time. I'll leave it up to Bryan whether or not he wants to do a Bible check / workout regimen. But what we would like to do during this time is give Bryan an opportunity to hear a lesson from us. That would be an opportunity for us to be able to speak into Bryan's life, how God has been able to use him as an instrument to lead us closer to the Lord. And so if we could take some time, I'm going to move the mic down here onto the floor, and we're going to just open up for people to come and share. It could be a memory. It could be a funny story. It can just be a word of encouragement. It can be a simple thank you. But we want to open up an opportunity for us to be able to just speak into Bryan and Jenny and be able to bless them and encourage them. And then after all of that, we're going to pass the microphone to Bryan. And he's been working for years on his final lesson, where he's going to have an opportunity to just share any final sentiments or final We called them famous last words that he's going to have an opportunity to share. And so I'm going to move the microphone down here, and then if you guys want to, if the microphone's empty, come up and fill it. Even if it's occupied, go ahead and form a line. However that works out, that's totally fine. But let's go ahead and take some time to bless Bryan and Jenny.
Hi, Bryan. Take this off. Bryan, I have known you, 8, 9 years? You worked with my parents very closely. And then in turn, you worked with me very closely as I went through junior high. And I would just like to say that I super appreciate all that you've done with me and for me. You've really helped me in my spiritual journey, and you've helped me grow as a person, as an artist, as a woman of God. And I just really appreciate all that you've done for me. I do have kind of a silly memory. My very first junior high retreat, no, it was the second, because Lily was there. But I remember it was the second night. We all went to bed. And then we were woken up at 2 a.m. And they were like, Megan comes up to us, and she's like, all right, girls, we got to go downstairs. Bryan needs us. I forgot what she said we were doing. I think she said we're doing a Bible study. And I was like, what? It's 2 a.m. Like, what's going on? So you have us all sit in a circle. And we were like, what's going on? Are we in trouble? That's what she said. She said we're in trouble. And we were sitting in a circle. We were like, what's going on? All half asleep. And then you just come up from behind us, all the staff, and spray us with silly string. And it was awesome because I didn't know what was going on because I was still half asleep. And all I really remember is you made us pick up the silly string and then sent us back to bed. We did? Oh. Well, that's all I remember, and that's all I took away, is that you love waking people up in the dead of night and terrorizing them. So.
It was the second and only time I ever did that. The first time was a smashing success. Grade group, or age group didn't work out so well. Lily spent the entire night just giving me daggers.
I remember that. That was really funny.
What's that? We played extra games and stuff like that. Like the first time I did it, we ended up like we had the guys sit down at the table and the girls like put their hands up underneath and put makeup on their face. And then the boys like wore tiaras, a bow of feathers, and they did a whole walkway, runway thing at like 2 in the morning. That is awesome. And it was hilarious and amazing. So 3 years later, we thought, oh, let's do that again. It's been long enough, nobody remembers. Yeah, that didn't.
It didn't
go
go well.
They were not as well receiving of.
But yeah, all that to say, thank you, Bryan. It's been an honor.
Let's see, I have the notes here. Oh wait, except it's a photo. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I guess, Ryan, I want to thank you for really challenging me to think about my faith when I first got there. And thank you for being patient with me. I know I wasn't always super easy. Let's see. Oh, that's something else wrote. Sorry. Wait, everyone can hear what I'm saying, can't they? Sorry. And no, I'm not going to say that someone else wrote it, but sorry, no offense, Mom. Yeah, it's I really liked hearing the stories about your childhood. I mean, I'm not saying, the funny ones. I mean, not like, I can't remember all of their names, but yeah, I guess they're, yeah. And yeah, and thank you for introducing me to my first game of Mafia, though I think it may have been more with, maybe you weren't there that night, but you were involved somehow. So yeah, thank you. I think I've overstayed my welcome.
I don't know if I can handle this emotionally. I'll do my best. We had a big problem at Montavilla. There was a little boy, sharp. We know that his parents were limited. They weren't able to keep up with him. In his early adolescence, he was smarter than his parents. He had complete control of them, and someone came to us and said, "This is a catastrophe. If something doesn't happen for Bryan, it's going to be the end of him." We said, "What should we do?" And the Lord led us as a board to seek the church I had been at before, at First Baptist Church in Caldwell, to make contact with them and see if they had someone that would be able to take on a little smart kid. And we found a man that was a man of God that said, "I believe this is the Lord's will." So Bryan Rogers was taken and sent to Caldwell, Idaho, to work with a couple that took him on as their own. They loved him, and they taught him. We didn't know how it was going to turn out, because he had complete control of his parents when they were here, and he was smart enough to know that he had control. So what's going to happen if we uproot him and drop him into Caldwell, Idaho, in a farm? This is never going to turn out unless the Lord does the miracle. And the Lord did a miracle. The day came when he was coming back home. What's this going to be like? "Bryan, we welcome you home. You want to have a ministry?" He said, "Yeah, sure. I'd like to take on the junior high." Bless your heart. And God blessed you. And God gave us this little boy that grew up to be a man filled with the Spirit of God. A man that committed his life to the Lord, and the Lord blessed him. There were many days where you came in and you said, "I want to quit. I want out." Sunday would come around, we said, "What happened to Bryan?" Bryan was back there working once again with junior high. Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and you hung in there for over 20 years, and you served the Lord. It was a miracle of God. And I want to tell you, your blessing to my ministry, my wife's ministry, and everything here at Montavilla, the New Covenant ministry, at Montavilla Baptist Church, everything that took place was all of the Lord. And Randy was influenced and a part of this thing, because Randy was able to build into your life as well. And you responded to that as well. And this was a miracle of miracles, because it was all that God did. You say this doesn't ever happen, but it happened here, and it happened to you. And it's the Spirit of God gives the glory and the praise. And we can't thank God enough for these 20 years, because they've been wonderful, and God has used you unbelievably. Thank you so much. I love you, buddy. It's the Lord's doing.
Well, Bryan, I just want to thank you for hanging in there for 20-some years, as it took us a while to have some kids, and they made it in there with you. But I wanted to thank you as a couple, because Jenny, you were the quiet force and supporter behind Bryan, and it takes a very strong wife to be behind a person in ministry and dedicating all the hours Bryan did, and he wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So I thank you both for the example of marriage and parenting you've been, and leaders in the church.
Okay, so to be honest, I wasn't actually gonna say anything tonight, but then got encouragement. And I remember coming into youth group, freaked out because it's new and I hate change. I'm terrible with it. And you were just like so willing to work with me with that and help me step out of my comfort shell. And I remember the Idaho trip, that's been coming up a lot. I remember I was like terrified because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been away from home before, so it was really all new. I've never been out in country. Turns out I love dirt, love getting all kinds of messy, work on cars now, and that was not me when I first was, starting in it. And so I hung up, I always wore, everyone's like, he saw me, you wore tiaras and capes and like heels every time I went to church. Hung that all up since Idaho, and thank you. I appreciate that. I love that you helped me with that and just like stuck by me and like really worked with me with that, and it helps me to be the person I am today. And I ever since then always try to step out of my comfort zone since that. So thank you.
Hi, Bryan. I just want to thank you for being such a good mentor to me and for letting me be crazy and chaotic in middle school. Just for, embracing that rather than trying to dumb it down. It was lots of fun. Thank you for not letting me kill Anthony. Yeah, it was lots of fun. Also, never wake me up. You've learned this lesson. Thank you, Bryan.
Okay, I always cry at these things, and I always tell myself I'm not going to cry, and then I cry anyway, so that's going to happen. So, as you may or may not have remembered, we came back to Montavilla right around the time middle school started for me. And the middle school that I went to was one of, if it's not the worst middle school in Portland Public Schools, it's definitely among the worst. And being 12 and somebody with really hardcore ADHD and not really having a sense of self, coming back to Montavilla was hard because I didn't know if people were going to accept me, considering friends had, grown up in elementary school together, and I hadn't been a part of that. And I have a lot of things to thank you for. The first thing is that the middle school group was my first time having a landing spot spiritually outside of my family. I feel like it was one of the first places I felt mercy from people for who I am, because I am uncomfortably aware of the fact that when I was much younger, I was what people might lovingly call hard to deal with. And I never felt like I was excluded. And that's a big deal. And I was thinking about it today, and I realized that middle school group was the first time I went from somebody being raised by Christian parents to somebody who is a Christian myself. And I'm just so grateful for all of that. There's so many fun, funky memories. Mostly I remember the games and your crazy stories and sitting there going, what is this? And sitting by that heater because I was so freezing. Every single time I would park myself in front of that heater until I got burns on my skin because I was so cold. And writing on the walls, and oh, thank you so much. And thank you for always letting us all stay kids and not demanding that just because we're in middle school that we grow up. Because I think there was too many people at that age that were telling us, you have to grow up. And thank you for giving us a space where we didn't have to. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is going to be short, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I just want to say thank you for being there for me, for my family, all these years.
Hello, Bryan. I tried to gather all of my last, I don't know, 20 years of my life with the influence that you've brought. And I was thinking through all of the middle school memories of both my Idaho trips and ice blocking, down the hill. And I realized I have so many father figures here in Montavilla. I'm going to try not to cry. But I also saw all the times that you were a friend. And in a very formative time of middle school, I remember first playing the first Destiny with you, with me and my dad for many years, as well as, we played D&D together. And you didn't have to. Especially with a dorky middle school kid. And during those years, I didn't have a lot of people to spend time with that were my age. But you still chose to hang out with me and play games, and it was definitely an amazing influence you had on me. And definitely showed me what friendship was. At that age, so thank you. Love you.
I'm just gonna sit here. It's okay. Those of you who are in junior high and high school, I know sometimes it can feel really overwhelming, feeling like you don't fit in. I think we all feel that way. A lot of the time, and wish that we had other people to invest in us and help us feel normal and help us grow up. Bryan, you had people do that for you, and you've done that for others. I think one of the ways I describe you is steadfast. Even when you wanted to throw in the towel, you stood fast. And I have to say that the way that paid off is through ways that you'll never see, and that's why you need to hear. You need to hear about it. For me, for the majority of your ministry, I was standing alone with my children, and I didn't know who would stand in the gap with me. at any given time. And I knew that every Wednesday and Sunday mornings, whenever my kids interacted with you, they would have a representative of God's love, and that it would be steadfast, and I could trust you for that. And it was something that was absent in our home, and I could count on you to be there and to speak Jesus into my kids' lives. And I just want to thank you for that. The depth of the value of that is yet to be known. But you were there standing fast, and I love you for that. It's, like I said, I can't place a value on that. You were there. And it really, really means a lot to me to have you standing with me. Even without saying it, you advocated, you were willing to step in however, whenever. You're incredibly valuable. And that's something that isn't because of your position, it's because of who God created you to be. And I'm really thankful for that. And Jenny, you're equal, equal in all of that. And yeah, I love you both and appreciate your role in my life and my kids' lives. So thank you.
Hey guys, love you. The first thing I thought of was an elder, a pastor, is worth double honor. And there's several ways to look at that, and that passage talks about don't muzzle the ox. And so it's talking about payment, but the double honor goes beyond that. And when I think of an ox, I think of you. And not because of the intelligence of an ox that's usually, tied into that, but how could you follow Dwight's? I mean, I didn't want to get up after he went. But because you're strong and you're faithful. And they put an ox and they put a yoke on and they pull and they pull and they pull. And you guys have pulled a long time. The national average of youth pastors is 18 months. 20-some years. Loving students, loving their families. And being in the trenches in ministry, people don't understand the burden. Way to go. My deepest fear is that I get to heaven and he says, away from me, I never knew you. My deepest desire is that he would say, well done, good and faithful servants. Now, I'm not the Lord, but I'll tell you, watching you over the years, wow. Well done. Let me read a little passage here for you. Sorry, I'm a pastor, I thank my God in all my remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine for you, making my prayer with joy, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. I'm sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the right day of Jesus Christ. It is right for me to feel this way about you all because I hold you in my heart, for you are my partakers with me of grace. Bryan and Jenny, great job. Thank you for your service to these students and these families, for God, for all these years.
I'm part of the group that made him want to quit. So there's another one. There's one. Yes. Paul Calloway. I can't call out Paul Calloway because he's not here. That's not fair. But I remember many, many times sitting and Bryan just head down. And even as like an 11, 12-year-old, you're like, this is not good. Yep. I can't, yes. I pivotal moments in my childhood is remembering that. Yes. Yes. And I don't know if I returned that night or not. It might have been. Yeah, I don't know. But either way, we're the ones that, he was trial by fire. We were the fire. But I just, man, it's a long time ago. That's coming up on 20 years. So, I mean, it's hard to piece together memories, but you stick in people's memories and your stories stick in people's memories. And truly, there's just a few, like, theological things that have stuck with me. And it's a lot of what Gabby was saying is, it's a time in your life, and I know this feels like there's a lot of life behind you already, and I don't want to sound like an old person, but like you start feeling like you're in this weird in-between, like I'm a kid and I want to be a kid, but also you're entering into being, like, having to think for yourself, and you don't know how to do it. And I love that you spoke to us and played to the kid side of us in a lot of ways, but spoke to us like grown-ups in a lot of ways and expected us to think like grown-ups. And that was challenging, and it was good. And I feel like you explained things, like I remember you talking about trying to, it's a good thing. I remember you trying, now I'm gonna laugh for no reason, it's not funny. Oh yeah, you were talking about the occult. I don't know. No, just joking. You were talking about like a timeline. You were talking about God and just the eternity of God and His timeline. You were like, well, what if people die back here? And what if And you were explaining like we see it like linear, and God sees it as just if you were to turn that line. And I remember being like, what? This is crazy. But it was so like no one had ever taken the time to explain some of these things that, especially growing up in church, you hear and you hear and you hear, and you're like, I don't get that, but I know it. I can quote the scripture or whatever. And I just, it's wild to me coming here now, being 30-something, that you've still been in the annex every Sunday and every Wednesday. And that doesn't even feel like my life. That was so long ago. And I just can't say more than anyone else, like that is a grind, but man, I mean, this is a fraction of the legacy that you are leaving, and there's ever-reaching effects of that. And I mean, I feel like we were in that really tough crowd, but you look at some of those kids now, like, man, and it's, you were at that pivotal moment in all of our lives, like that middle school age where you look at a lot of kids now who are just like flailing at that age. And I mean, and you were steadfast, like Bobby said, just through all that season of our lives. And that just means so much to me. And I was telling Tim ahead of time, before this, I was like, you scratched this itch for us rotting on the walls. Like that's a core memory for me. It was so cool to be able to just graffiti the walls of our youth room. And then Tim was like, yeah, it was so cool, but then it stayed for way too long. And then it became...
It was one of my biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that metallic paint would make typical primer just slide off of it.
Oh.
So it wouldn't go away. When we put primer on it, we put like 3 or 4 coats on it, and it would not go away. And I'm like, oh no, what did I do?
We were just the group of mistakes. We were just... Oh man.
And we finally like 2 layers of that
covered.
And then we were finally able to paint the room. There's like 4 coats of primer plus 2 coats of gills on it.
You probably can still see my name,
Right,
just
probably,
in metallic pen. But anyway, all that to say, so sorry for the trials we put you through, but man, you made it 20 more years. I mean, what's 20 more? But truly, and another pivotal memory is when you guys were pregnant. And I remember he was born on Alex George's birthday. And I remember we were all so jazzed. And it's wild thinking now that you have a grown adult child now that we saw the... Close. Getting there. Either way. Man, that's crazy. But anyway, I'm rambling now, so I'm going to put this away. But thank you. We love you. Thank you for your ministry.
I know that didn't look at it. All right, hey Bryan. So I don't know if anybody else remembers Bryan before Idaho. I mean, obviously you guys do, but what year did you leave?
87.
Was 87? Okay, so 86 in there somewhere. The one thing I remember of being kids together was we went to like Ice Capades, Disney on Ice, something like that. Yes, and we had like this little toy telescope, and we were like, how old? Wait, in 86. In 86, we were 9? 10. Okay, 9 and 10. And we had this little toy telescope, and I think we were trying to look at the girls as they spun around and skirts went up and stuff like that, probably. I'm guessing that's why we sent them to Idaho. I don't know. I kind of have this weird memory of that. Okay, well, I was kidding there. Hang on. So then one day, Bryan's gone. I'm 9 or 10, and like, where did Bryan go? Bryan went to Idaho, and it's like, is he coming back? Okay, that's what we got from the adults, and then we just went on. And then 97, 98, we're out here in the back parking lot, and this really cool guy comes firing in on this. Was it a Ninja? What was your motorcycle?
I had a Suzuki.
Katana. Comes zipping in, takes his helmet off, and stands up off that thing, and I just went, like, dude, who is this guy? And it's Bryan. Like, oh my gosh. You were enormous. And I thought you were playing pro football or something. And it was just like, wow, Bryan's back. Cool. And let's see here. I was doing junior high ministry at the time. So I was, for those of you guys that don't know, I was Eric and Mary's junior high leader. And so we have there's all sorts of weird connections through here. And growing up in this church, like Jenny too, there's just, oh my gosh. And Debs and Bobby could probably talk about the things that happened in that annex, you guys. Thinking it's old at 30. Oh my gosh, in the 80s. Most of those walls are not original. They've all been plastered over. I threw you through the wall one time. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's a butt print in there.
I thought he was going to go to the couch. He went up in the air, went right between the studs, and right through the wall. I was just like, oh, man. And, of course, his dad was one of the pastors. I had to go tell him. I had to tell your dad a lot of things that we did to you. I'm sorry. This is about Bryan, though. Okay, so Bryan comes back, and we're like, oh, my gosh, this is so cool. Nice to see you. And we're all hanging out and started to do things. And at what point did you come on junior high? Pretty right? And so I'm trying to think of all.
To be fair, I think, if I'm not incorrect, I started with Thad on junior high.
So
Pretty quickly to high school
when
I showed up, and he took over junior high from that point. So it was like kind of on
because
junior high with you for like
if it was 98, we took a break when we got married.
Yeah.
And so I think, and then that's when we came back in, because we were doing it beforehand, and then we came back after that. Took a little marriage break. So yeah, and then, but this is the thing I was thinking about this as everybody else is talking. So Bryan's coming in and helping on staff, and we did all sorts of cool stuff. And Jenny, you obviously met him, and stuff started happening there. And in 01, we were going to hire a new youth pastor, and Thad, you had gone already, and then I kind of had to make the decision: do I want to do that? And I felt led to leave and to go elsewhere. The whole prophet in his hometown thing. But you didn't grow up here. You grew up somewhere else. You were able to kind of come back into this, and not everybody watched you be a terror through junior high and stuff. And so you came back, and you were here, and you were doing youth, and I said, I'm going to step away. And that had to happen, because if I had stuck around, I'd ruined this awesome opportunity for you to do this for over 20 years. And, I mean, I didn't know all the reasons God wanted me to leave Montavilla. And, ministry didn't always go the way we had thought it would go, but it absolutely had to happen so that you could step into this thing. That had to be a part of it. It's not all about me for sure, right? And, you stepped in, and you've done this forever, and we've been friends for, my goodness, since the mid-'80s, you guys. I mean, I can't even, we're so old.
I remember the first time I really got in trouble at church that I remember was because Kevin convinced me to trip. I got a big enough voice, but whatever. I don't know, dude, you were like 5, I was maybe 6, and you convinced me to trip Matt, who was his 3-year-old brother. And it was in the hallway right here by the big doors, and I tripped Matt. He fell. It was hilarious to my 6-year-old brain, but then I was immediately in serious trouble with my dad in the hallway. That was bad, but it was your fault, so I blame you. I'm sorry. So anyway, there you go.
Okay. Anyway, anybody else? Was anybody else here? I don't know everybody that's here. Was anybody else here when, like, in the 8? Oh, well, not as kids, though. I mean, you guys probably remember us as, oh. I don't think I was that bad. This is awesome. Yes. You were so bad, we sent you. Hey, they sent you to Idaho. You were so bad. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but it's been so awesome to sit back and watch you do this and still hang out with you guys and just have been such good friends for all this time. And it's amazing what you've been able to do. And I don't know if I've lived vicariously through you, but it's been really cool to watch you do this. Like Thad said, 1.5 years for people to do this and to do it for so long and in the same place and to overcome all those things as all the kids are talking about the different things that happened out there. I'm like, oh yeah, those things, the retreats and all that stuff. And just persevere and the lives you've changed and the influence you've had, not just on these kids, but on people like me, for being just an amazing friend to us and to Ginger as well. So congratulations. And I don't know what God's got next for you, but you are amazing. You too.
Thanks, Kevin. And I still have scars on my shoulder from that time, and I will be suing you no, I won't. Well, I'm going to face this. It's a little awkward having your back to everyone. It's really strange. Well, Bryan, after hearing all of these people share what they think about you, I know you're thinking one thing. Well, maybe a couple things, but one thing probably more than others. And that is, Thad Anderson looks amazing. Can you stand up, Thad? What are you doing? Oh my gosh, is it a diet? Do you exercise? Oh my gosh. We've had such a long history of really great and sound youth leaders here. I remember my earliest memory of all of you guys was probably gearing up. I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, something like that, and you guys were gearing up for some snowboarding trip. And when we used to get those big vans, we used to rent. It was a nightmare for you guys, I'm sure, because you guys rented them at like noon, and then you'd fill them up with gas, clean them up, get snacks. All the kids would come. We'd pile everybody in, drive to the mountain, snowboard for how many hours, just all the way back, midnight, get up, go to church the next day. It was brutal. But I remember you guys would do that every weekend, or oftentimes back-to-back weekends for months in the snowboarding season. So I remembered you guys doing that, and you guys had just so much energy. You guys always had a smile on your face, and to the point that everyone's kind of said, it's amazing. You need good leaders in your life and people who are steadfast and people who show up and are consistent and have good attitudes and love on other people and create a culture of that in their family and create a culture of that within the group. And not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people have people that can do that. And you've been you've been amazing. You are incredibly creative. Your creativity goes beyond, in my opinion, I think your design expertise is on the bottom. I think you're so creative in every way. Creative with people, with the games that you would do, with your lesson planning, you're keeping things fresh. Like the amount of people here who you've put fresh wind in their sails is incredible. And it's just been a complete honor and a joy to know you as long as I've known you. The years of ministry and on junior high and whatnot, yeah, it's just been wonderful. So I think I'll leave you with this, and that is, I know the Lord's really proud of you. I know when he has people at Montavilla over the last 40 years, there's a special few that God's going to be like, yeah, that's my guy. And you're one. You're one of the few. So thank you.
I'm going to sing a little song for Bryan. No, I'm just joking. Actually, I feel so bad that everyone kept saying you were such a bad little boy. I don't remember that. I remember you being really fun. So I'm either I don't remember you being. There was one child I remember being naughty. We all know who that was. It's okay. Yeah. We've had this conversation. I don't remember. I thought you were fun. So in fact, I was kind of oh, Bryan's gone. Anyway. So I thought you were great. He literally disappeared, and we were like, are we going to disappear sometime? We're all going to behave in church, right? And it was funny because Kevin, were you the one that you were talking about when you remember when he pulled up on his? I was literally going to bring that up. I don't know why that stuck with me. And I remember Randy saying to me, I'm like, who's that? All attitude. And he's like, oh, that's Bryan. Remember Bryan Rogers? I'm like, yeah, he was cool. And he's like, oh, he's back in town. He's going to, and then you started, I think he wants to do ministry. And I literally rolled my eyes at him. I rolled my eyes because it was the whole motorcycle, I'm so cool. And I was like, whatever. Anyway, you've lasted, which is amazing. I know you do. But you know that over the years, you have become a part of our family. You and Jenny and the boys, you are our family. And first of all, Jenny, I'm going to say something to you first. First of all, your friendship and your steadfastness to me, I don't think you understand how much it means to me and how you've been there. You are someone that I know that I can sit with, and you'll sit with me, and I don't have to explain anything to you. And I don't have a lot of friends like that, so I don't want to cry. I'm going to cry later. So, and thank you for being a wife who loves your boys and tells your boys and your boy. You have such a deep love for them, and it is a testimony. You don't realize what a testimony it is. And you are so supportive in Bryan for this many years. I know being in ministry, it is brutal. And the family is who suffers. And the family is who gives and sacrifices their time for all of us. So thank you for that. The Lord sees it. I see it. We all see it. And it's valuable. You've invested so much into this church. So thank you. And thank you for your friendship. And then, Bryan, you've been a second dad to my children. You are their second dad. They literally say oh, Bryan's my other dad. And I'm like, it's not like that. It's, that's weird. But it's been a really long day. I'm sorry, honey. They don't trust me up here. I have to be singing if I'm being on a microphone. But this is what I wanted to say. I have two things I want to say. For number one, I think particularly in the last, I would say since COVID years, the young people, they are, I think, suffering at a level that is unprecedented. And there is a lack of faith, particularly in male figures. You have been a male, a godly, strong male who loves his family fiercely. That testimony to these kids is it's something that you can't even measure, for them to be able to witness that, and then for a godly man to love them, because a lot of them don't have that. You provide a safe space where they feel seen. And that's all they want right now, is to be loved. They want to know who God is from a real perspective, not something fake. And you give them real. And you can't fake anything. It's impossible. And I think, kind of like what Christy said, hi Christy, by the way. I missed you. you're not afraid, you don't give them fluff. You talk about hard things. I think a lot of youth groups give a lot of like, this is like really fun. So you have the fun, but then you're like, we're going to talk about some hard things. And you search through the scriptures with them. That is a foundation. Like, I was thinking about all the kids that we've brought, like Clackamas. Holy cow, you have impacted Rock Creek and Clackamas. Like who would have known? It's amazing the impact that you had. You've been my husband's dearest friend, and I can't thank you enough for that. You've walked through times that I can't even put into words. And you've been so faithful to him and put up with some things. And I know that if Randy was here, he would tell you he loves you with all of his heart. And he's so proud of you. And it's lonely in the ministry, and you were his friend. And Jenny, you were Michelle's friend. And I can't thank you for that. He loved you so much. And he loved you so much, Jenny. So thank you. You are a piece of Randy to me. So thank you.
Like Chrissy said, we were part of the group that made him want to quit. Let's be honest, that was all Paul Calloway, right? I mean, we were delightful. We were great students. Love you, Paul. I'm just kidding. But I said a few things at our end of year party, and there's so many things to say. The way you did youth group in junior high was so much different than any other church, in the best possible way. I mean, gag bag, it was all silly and all fun, but you really challenged us. You chose not to let's just play games and let's just talk about Jesus for just 5 minutes and then be done, because I went to a couple youth groups like that. He challenged us. He told me back in middle school that I was a leader. I didn't believe him at the time, but I'm still in youth ministry. And he inspired so many people to be in youth ministry for some reason. And I mean, I remember all of us were like, I want to be one of Bryan's staff. And I got the pleasure to do that for a couple years. And I also, it's really unfortunate that there was a time in my life that I just thought that we weren't good, that we weren't square. And it's really sad because I looked up to you so much. And the day that I shared in youth group that I was going through a really tough time with life, my job, with medical stuff, you said, you call me and I'll be there for you. And that really meant a lot to me. I love you.
Hi, Bryan. Sorry. I know I've only known you for a year, but you've done so much for me. Not only have you helped me know Jesus, because I came in here not being a Christian, I didn't think about Jesus at all, and now I've grown so much thanks to you. You've also saved my life. I'm not sure where I would be if I didn't start going to this youth group. Sorry. And having you as a youth pastor, even if it was only for 1 month that I was in junior high group. But it's going to be so weird not seeing you every Wednesday at youth group, because you've done so much for everyone. Thank you.
Hey. These two are here too. I don't know what they're going to say or do. I don't endorse anything that comes after what I say.
I'm here
so
just because.
let's you'll get the mic in who knows how long, and then your parents are responsible for what happens next. How does that sound? I was just thinking sometimes it seems like there's a separation or distinction between like mundane work and the things that like God is doing, like the kingdom, eternity. And, like very much so, especially you're a really good example of, like there's no distinction between the things you do and the things you've done, and like eternity in you as someone, an eternal being, and God working through you. And so all of like, for this many years of the very like ordinary work you've done, just to make a junior high group run every week, it's a lot of work, and then a lot of attention while it's happening, so everyone is alive like by the end of it, is like there's like no distinction between what God was doing and like the goodness and holiness of it and just the ordinary work he did for all those years. And it was just very good, and like being able to see like everything that blossomed out of that work you put in that God made grow was very good. Thank you just for being faithful. And I've just seen a little part of that too, the time I've been on staff. Love you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're the best. Bye.
I'm going to start with Jenny, too. I want to thank Jenny for supporting Bryan and being the woman behind Bryan and keeping him going, and putting up with another junior hire. Because, honestly, Bryan hasn't grown up, right? I mean, that's what makes him so good at what he does. But I want to thank you for just, I get you, and we've laughed about Bryan, some of his quirks and stuff like that. It's just, some inside stuff. And so I want to thank you for your friendship, both with me and with my wife. And Bryan, I want to thank you for being the second daddy to my kids. And helping raise my kids and giving me every Wednesday off for like the past, well, it's been more than a decade. I mean, it's so quiet at home. It's nice and relaxing. It's awesome. But no, I want to thank you for just the work that you've put into the kids, always being there. You have a heart, well, you have a heart like I don't understand, okay? I mean, you love everyone, and you're a giant teddy bear. You are. You're just a giant teddy bear. You put up with a lot of crap from me, and I just want to thank you for that. But I want to thank you for even the kids that my kids have brought, and the way that you've influenced them, and the way that you welcomed them, and the way that you've helped them see what God's love is. And I want to thank you for the love that you've shown me in all of the struggles that I've had. You've been there, an awesome friend that is always there when I need someone. And I do want to say that Randy would be so proud. I know that I know he was so proud of you. I know that he wanted so much for you, and he talked about you all the time. I remember the smile on his face when he would talk about you. And I want to thank you for the years and the dedication that you've put into this church. We love you.
Amen. Don't forget, you actually are still doing a lesson tonight. So, yeah, I'm going to say something real quick, and then I'm going to pass the mic to you to give us your last words. Yeah, I'd rather actually have my back to you guys. Today's been kind of hard. Because obviously we've known for the last year plus that this day was coming. So we've had a lot of time to work together and plan towards this. And man, it's been such a blessing over this last year to join forces, truly, and to I also shared at our end of summer party that we had last week that Bryan was my youth pastor for one day, and so I was not fortunate enough to get to hear all of the stories and to see a lot of the unique and creative ways that you led, and really until this year was kind of the first time I actually got to have a taste of some of that. And we had the privilege this summer of getting to go to Idaho together and to witness and hear some of the stories of how the Lord changed Bryan's life and how the Lord met him and raised him up. And so over this last year, it has really been just a huge blessing and honor to be able to see ministry through your eyes and from your perspective, and to see your heart and your passion. And it really is, it's taken a long time for the reality to cement in that this is your last Wednesday. And so while I did not get to be a part of your youth group, thank you for walking together this last year and showing me all the things that I missed out on. It really has just been a huge blessing to get to know you better as a friend and as a brother. And like I said, I really look up to you, man, and I really appreciate the leader that you've been over these years. I'm so thankful you stuck around to be able to see my son go into middle school and be his youth pastor for the last year, and my daughter for 2 weeks. Man, to have been in the annex as one of your middle schoolers for a week, to you having my kids go through your group is such a phenomenal testimony to have. And as Cal was sharing, I just had this thought go through my head of, I wonder how many people are going to be in heaven because of your ministry, and how many lives, how many lives you've impacted over these years. We will not be able to know that for a long time. But man, I hope tonight has been a blessing for you to hear just like Christy said, just a sliver of the blessing that that you have been for so many of us over these years. We love you very much. I love you very much. Thank you, Bryan. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jen. We love you guys, and we're so grateful for the ministry that you've had, the sacrifices that you've made. We love you so much. All right, your turn.
Goodness. Well, if I'm going to do this right, I guess I got to sit on a stool. The table. Honestly, though, the table was much later. The stool came first for a long time, and I think I destroyed that stool. It was. That's also the second table. I think I did destroy one of them by sitting on it all the time. Oh, goodness. Okay. My head hurts. My eyes are aching. And yeah, thank you so much for all the words, for all the hearts. And yeah, 20 plus years. It's been good, and yet it feels like it flew by. I'm sure if like Thad thought back to when he was here, like that seems like so long ago, and yet at the same time, not. And I do wonder, same thing as you, Eric. But my first thought was, I don't know that I feel like. I mean, I get what you're saying, so I don't want to take away from what you're saying. But man, that was the Lord. You know what I mean? It wasn't me. Like if there's people in heaven because of that, the time they spent with me, it was because the Lord put that there. Not. And I what I do wonder is how many seeds did the Lord allow me to plant that I'll never know about? That's what I always wonder, right? And I think there's so many times I think back, I'm like, how many of those kids that I work with that I was like, I don't know if they're going to follow the Lord. But I don't know what their story is, and I don't know where the Lord's going to bring others into their life later to bring the growth in their life from the planting of the seed from way back when, right? And so that's what I would love to know. I would love to know, like, what did the Lord do to bring those forward? Like, that seed was planted here, cool. How did he affect them and change them? I'd love to know that story. That's what I want to know. And so it isn't so much me. I just got to be a part of that. And I think that's what youth ministry is, or ministry in general, is just like being open to whatever the Lord asks you to do. And then being excited for that journey and watching that grow. And just like the steadiness and the showing up. Yes, there was many Wednesdays where I did not want to go to youth group. And 9 times out of 10 when I did show up and I was faithful to it, some of those nights were some of the best nights. They were the best discussions. And I would say, and I've said this many times before, I've learned over the years, I had to learn over the years, that it wasn't about me, because I would walk in with a lesson. And it would be point A, point B, point C, whatever. I've got my questions, I've got my Bible verses, I got whatever. And some kid asks a question on point B. And I'm like, wow, that's a really good question. And we start to explore it, and we start to go down the path. And it's not a rabbit trail, the Holy Spirit is clearly leading us this direction. Now, I could force it back onto the path and make sure I get through my lesson proper. But some of the best discussions have come out of evenings where I was willing to listen to the Lord and just let it go and not hold on to my strict plan and let the Holy Spirit guide the conversation, because it was clear that that's where it needed to go. And I think, honestly, like whatever ministry you are called into, being able to discern, being able to listen, to hear, to care about what the Lord thinks over what your own plan is in that space, to guide others along that, teach them, like, how do you even pay attention to that? Because again, it wasn't about me. It was about what the Lord was doing in that space, wherever that space is. So whether that's Deb's in the middle of doing worship, and she's like, you know what? Here's an unplanned song, by the way. I wasn't planning on doing this one, but I felt like the Lord was saying this is what we need to do. And that triggers off an amazing time of worship, because you were willing to say, this is not really actually about me. I was telling, I can't remember who I was telling this just recently to, but I used a really horrible analogy for this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But anytime you're up here on stage or in a youth group room or just talking to a friend, was it you, Eric, actually, I was just talking to you about this? I don't know. Anyway, I've had this Bryanism. By the way, does anyone remember Bryanisms? Yeah, okay. There was a time I was using Bryanisms all the time. They were things that Bryan thought about. I'm talking about myself in third person, that's weird. That I didn't have immediate biblical backing for. It was things I was I thought my way through it, but I haven't really fully fleshed this out. I need to actually go to the Word to make sure I'm not totally off the wrong path. But here's some thoughts I had. And one of those is, I was trying to explain what it was like whenever we're doing this, preaching, talking, digging in the Word, whatever that was, is there's, for the State of the Union. Was I just talking to you about this? Okay, it was you. Okay. I knew it was someone literally within the last 24, 48 hours. Okay, so the way I think about it is there's the State of the Union where the president's going to come out and talk on camera, and he's going to say, here's the State of the Union, or here's the address, whatever, right? And there's the person who, now I don't know enough about politics, I don't pay enough attention, but there's the person I'm guessing is the press secretary, probably. There's the person that comes up to the podium, and all the press are sitting there, and they're getting their notes ready, and they're getting their thing ready, and they're waiting to listen to the president, and that person comes out and says, ladies and gentlemen of the press, here's the President of the United States. Now that person gets to step behind the podium for a moment, but their job isn't to stay there and continue to speak on the things they're thinking about and want to have their own moment for. Their job is literally to announce the President of the United States and get out of the way. And metaphorically speaking, I think anytime we stand up on a stage like this or in a youth group room or in a conversation, our job is to announce the Holy Spirit and get out of the way and let him speak through us. Because it's not about us. And that doesn't matter if it's like an official paid position. It doesn't matter if you are the most important person in the room, technically speaking, title-wise, or if you're the least important person in the room, title-wise, like whatever that measurement that humans use to give importance to people and things. None of that matters. The Holy Spirit's the most important thing in that room at that moment. And I think being able to be sensitive to that. And I think over the years of ministry, being able to recognize it's not about me. I just get to live in this space with y'all and get excited about the Holy Spirit. Like, that's what matters. Randy always talked about one step closer to Christ. That doesn't mean like I'm shoving you towards him. It's you and me taking one step closer to Christ together. Like, let's all go together. Like, I'm not be like, good luck, one step closer, please. Man, it's not like I'm ushering a line forward and I'm just hanging back. It's all of us moving together in the trenches, one step closer to Christ. That's what he's calling all of us to. And so whether you're going to Africa on a really cool trip and getting to hang out with kids over there, right, and seeing the Lord like make their smiles bright, or you're going through surgery and you affect the people around you and the nurses and the doctors who get to interact with you. I know that's Laura's story, I'm sure. That was Randy's story. Like some of the stuff that came back from what they were saying about what Randy was doing while he was in the hospital and how he was affecting those around him. Like, come on, man. He wasn't doing that as a pastor. He was doing that as a human being who loved God. And yes, I'm sure the pastoring thing was a bit of it, but you know what I'm saying. It was his heart overall. My point is, words of wisdom, I don't know that I have a ton of words of wisdom to drop on y'all. All I know is be humble enough to follow where the Lord leads and be excited to have others hang out with you in that space moving forward. He died for us, right? What else can we call it? But amazing and glorious. I don't know, Eric. I had a whole lesson planned, and it was about community and being together in community and all that stuff, but that was last week's lesson that I didn't get to for this week, so this is what I got for you, man. How much time do I got? I can keep going, but should I wrap it up? I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I love you all. Thank you for letting me love on you for 20 plus years. And the other thing I would say, by the way, I will drop this as well. This is not the end. And I don't mean just for me. Mark and I have talked about this a bunch of times. There's a certain age that for some reason people go, well, I hit my age, I'm just going to cruise. I've done my thing. I've retired. I'm at a certain age, I don't need to push anymore. I'm sorry, but you don't let off the gas until you are literally in the arms of your Savior. So if you are 80 years old, you are 90 years old, you are 14 years old, I don't even care. Push until the day you're standing in front of your Savior. Because while y'all are saying, thank you, well done, Bryan, you did great, I'm sorry, but I'm not done. like, as much as my wife would be like, yeah, we actually need a break, so cool, date nights are on, which we're totally doing. Ministry-wise, it doesn't ever stop until the day you're in front of him. So like, while this is the closing of this particular season, it is not the closing of ministry for me. And I'm telling you, I hope. Dude, if I get to a spot where you all are like, dude, Bryan is totally chilling right now, like in ministry, or just like took the foot off the gas, like call me out. Send Dan after me or something. I don't know. Send Thad after me. I mean, well, Kevin did too. Like actually, he would probably text me a ton and be like, dude, you're an idiot. My point is, call me out. We should all be calling each other out. We should be spurring each other on. Iron sharpening iron, right? And that there's not like some sort of like magical line where 80 and you're good. It's whatever time you got left. Whether it's next week or you got another 60 years ahead of you or whatever you've got, push. Keep moving. He didn't call us to stop and be weak and to be lethargic in our faith and be like, we put our time in, I now get to just cruise. Keep going. That's it. Love y'all. Let's pray. Hats if you got them. Dearest Father, I just thank you so much for being gracious and merciful in the beginning years of me being in ministry and trying to figure all this out. There's so many missteps I could have taken, and you guided me all the way. You kept me on the path. I just thank you so much, Father, for the people I've met along the way, the encouragement, the hard times that forge us, the hard conversations, the deep stuff, and also the lighthearted, just crazy out and out laughing, and all the stuff in between. Ministry just is another great word for getting to hang out with people that you get to love on, for your glory, Father, for your name, for who you are and who you've created us to be. If we aren't reflections of you, then what are we doing? Why are we even doing ministry if we aren't reflections of you? I just pray, Father, that we would find a fire that pushes us to keep going until the day we die and we are standing in front of you and we start truly living. I pray, Father, that every person that you call into ministry would just feel the blessing of that and the weight of that and the joy of that. And honestly, that just actually means all of us, because you call us all into ministry one way or the other. It takes a million different forms, and it doesn't have to be an official paid position. Ministry is just us loving on others for your kingdom. I pray, Father, that you would bless each and every person in this room as much as you've blessed me. I pray all these things in your name. Amen. Sorry, Megan. Sorry, Jen. The ones who can repeat my stories from scratch. Okay, so there's the story about Dusty. There's the story about the manure in the face. There's the whitewashing story. The three-wheeler story. Yeah, the cat one's what I consider more of a minor one, but yeah, the four bigs are the ones I just mentioned, and then the cat one is its own little quicker, smaller thing that was also freaky and weird. But yeah, if anyone wants to argue for whichever one. Wait, three-wheeler? Hold on, I'm hearing over here. Dusty, what were we saying, Andrew? Oh, whitewash story, okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. Shh. Dusty didn't get that many votes, so I'm not going to go with Dusty. Oh, you got another Dusty vote? The three-wheeler story. Okay, I'll tell that one. All right. So most of my stories start out with the fact that I'd moved to Idaho in '87. I was 11 years old, and I was still very much a city kid with not a whole lot of common sense, which was exacerbated by the fact that I was 11 and a city kid, so you put those two things together. Bryan didn't come with a whole lot of common sense, but a whole lot of energy, as Mark and Susan have abundantly made clear. Because I wasn't a bad kid, I just had way too much energy, and I couldn't contain myself. I was like, ah! And I'm still kind of like that a little bit. So I moved to Idaho, and within about a year or so, Gary, my guardian dad, decided it would be a really good idea that I would learn how to save my money, and him and I would go halvesies on a three-wheeler, and that I would learn how to fix small engines on that three-wheeler, and I would ride it, and it would be glorious and wonderful. I never actually learned how to work on the small engines, even despite that machine. We got this three-wheeler. By the way, everyone knows by now that the three-wheelers are basically banned for a specific reason. Yeah, they tip over easy. Awesome. Cool. That's a different story, actually. So anyway, I have this three-wheeler, and I'm loving this thing. I never had a chance to do this kind of stuff in Portland. Like, I literally, for those who don't know, I literally grew up in a house on the other half of the parking lot over there by the church here. My house used to be there before they knocked it down and made it a parking lot. So I went straight from that to the farm, and I get this three-wheeler, I'm riding it, and we hit wintertime in Idaho, and it's hitting like the single digits, freezing, or even just right to about zero. And we had just watched the movie Christmas Story. Everyone knows that movie? Okay. So the whole double dog, triple dog Darius scene with the flagpole, how many have never seen that and have no clue what I'm talking about right now? Where the kid sticks his tongue to the pole? Okay, so there's this whole scene where they're on the schoolyard and the kids are all standing around a pole and they're like, dude, if you stick your tongue to the pole, it'll stick to it. And they were like, nuh-uh. And they was like, yeah, I double dog dare you. And then they triple dog dare each other, right? And it like ramps up. And finally, one of the kids goes, fine, I'm going to call your bluff. And the kid shoves his tongue onto the pole, and it sticks. And he freaks out, and all the other kids freak out, and they scram and they run for it. And he's stuck to the pole. And everyone's in class, and they're like, where's what was his name, Ralphie? No, what? Flick. They were like, where's Flick? And they were like, we don't know. And they were like, no, where is Flick? And so somebody finally points at the window, and the teacher looks out there and sees him all by himself in the middle of a snowstorm with his tongue stuck to the pole because the metal was so cold, because the winter was so cold that it immediately froze. And I was like, I'm watching the scene, and I'm like, nah, come on, that can't actually work, can it? So afterwards, the movie's all done, and I'm outside, and it's middle of Idaho winter, 2-3 feet of snow on the ground, and I'm on my three-wheeler doing like cookies. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a thing that can't happen. Like the whole frozen tongue thing, like what? And so I'm looking around for something to try this on. And I'm in the middle of a pasture, so there's not a whole lot of metal to work with except for the three-wheeler and the handlebars. And so I'm looking down at the handlebars, and I'm like, and by the way, this is for those who don't know, but like this didn't have a clutch. It was an automatic three-wheeler. So all you have to do is just click gears and it goes. And unless you're hitting the gas, it just will idle in the gear. And so I was just sitting there idling, and it was in gear, and I'm like, oh! It stuck, and I freaked out. And I didn't even like barely touch it. I like solidly touched my tongue to that thing, and I pushed against the handlebars, and my thumb hit the gas. And I was in a field with corrugates, so the corrugates went left to right, and you got these little siphon tubes, and little black siphon tubes, and you pull the water, and it would go down the corrugate, and that's how we set pipes to water the field. Well, in the winter, we didn't do any of that, but the corrugates are there, so they're like little rounded hills. And the three-wheeler, as soon as I hit the gas, it leapt. And it shot forward and went across the corrugate hills, the little channels, and it started going, and my mouth, I can't get my tongue loose because it's just catching more and more on the frozen thing, and my mouth is beating against the handlebar and shattering my, I don't know how I didn't break my teeth. And my upper lip was just completely bloody, and my brain just left myself. And I didn't have the presence of mind to take my thumb off the gas pedal, or the gas throttle. And I probably went 20, 30 corrugates before I finally got my brain to realize this was a bad situation. So I take it off, and I'm like, good. I was worse than Flick. And my mouth is bleeding, and I'm crying, and I'm trying to work saliva up to get my tongue off this thing, and I can't do it. And finally, I'm so frustrated and overwrought with pain that I ripped my tongue off. And I looked down, and there was perfect little rows of taste buds all the way around the handlebar because I'd managed to somehow work that. And I just remember I couldn't drink or eat anything remotely cold or hot for 2 weeks until my taste buds healed and grew back, and I never did that again. And I learned that does actually work. So there's your story.
Thank you, Bryan. Okay, well, it wouldn't be right for you to leave with any gas left in your tank, because until tonight's over, you're still the junior high youth pastor. And you still seem to have a fair amount of energy left in you. So what we're going to do is we're going to give everybody 10 minutes, including Bryan, to go ahead and say anything they want to say. And those of you that need to go because it's late and you don't have the energy, that's okay. Don't forget, please, to sign the book on your way out. But it's about to get really dark in here, and we're going to need a flashlight. And I've never actually instructed this game before. So, Bryan, I'm going to need you to explain in 10 minutes how to play Grog.
So, do we have all the necessary things for grog? Okay, so we have a flashlight. We have people. We do have people. All right. For all those who are not interested in playing a church-wide game with the lights completely off, you might want to leave now. I see Mark Osmonder already making moves. Now, I will say staff gets to do the more fun